Kupp weaving through traffic. Cooper Kupp all the way into Panther territory. Down to the 40-yard line and a first down. Stafford, Robinson, jump ball, touchdown. Looking back to the left, there's Robinson all alone at the 25-yard line, and Robinson with a little space inside the 20. Here's Skoranek on the sweep. Skoranek will take it in, hopping in for the touchdown. Backfield, and Jalen Ramsey says, I'm ready for you. Drops him like a bad habit. Henderson tries the right side, powering towards the goal line, in for the touchdown. Looking for the end zone, deflected, is it intercepted? It went through the hands of Jones, diving to make...
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of East Coast Rams podcast. I am your host, Ashton, with my awesome co-host, Zac, back from Disney. How are you doing, Zac? How was the vacation?
I would say that I'm well and rested, but you just mentioned that I went to Disney. But I had a great time. I do feel rejuvenated. Coming back, got a Rams win. I'm ready to talk football. Let's do this.
Yeah, definitely a good bounce back game for the Rams against the battered up Panthers. Let's be honest, going into this game, the Panthers had their head coach fired, who was not very good, and coming into the game missing their top cornerback in J.C. Horn. They ended up losing their second cornerback, I would say halfway through the second, Zac. Somewhere around there. But either way, this Panthers team was in a desperate need of a win, almost as much as us, after getting their head coach fired. And,
don't forget them basically firing their wide receiver in the second half.
Yes, that also doesn't help. Firing your top wide receiver, second to top. Moore is also pretty good up there. So let's go ahead and kind of break down the general scoring in this game. The Panthers start off going 50 yards, getting a field goal, pretty solid stop by the defense. It felt like to start off, this game generally looked better from the offense, but it was still very sporadic, especially in the first half. The Rams would end up having a pretty quick or pretty solid drive of 7 minutes, ending in an Allen Robinson touchdown, pretty good fade. Stafford really likes that. That is kind of what we wanted Robinson to be, a red zone threat, be able to catch a few passes, be kind of like a mid-level threat. And I thought this was the first game that he kind of showed that, Zac.
Yeah, I agree. Like this is the game we all wanted to see him do, like week 1, week 2. It's kind of taken him 6 weeks to get to this point. But over the last several weeks, we've seen this fade touchdown a couple of times, and it's been just too much out of A-Rob's hands. So glad to see that he's finally, I put on Twitter, like, he's finally alive. He's there. He's on the team, and I'm hoping moving forward he's going to be utilized more efficiently.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't require each team to be missing its top 2 cornerbacks.
That's true, but I think, just kind of like, I feel like last year, like, Van Jefferson was always wide receiver 3, but I feel like when he got that deep ball in the opening game of the Chicago game, like that was when Van Jefferson solidified his spot as wide receiver 3. Even when Woods went down and OBJ came in, like he's still wide receiver 3. He was still a valuable person on that team. But it's just that chemistry. And I think that chemistry is finally coming there. Stafford is looking a little bit more towards that direction. Yes, there were still, what we can get to it later, there were still some times where he missed him completely open and could have got more, kind of got him a couple more touchdowns down the line. But it was just a really good job of getting him in the mix finally. 1 or 2 passes wasn't going to cut it for him. He needed to get, those 5-6 catches.
Hmm. Yeah, the Rams would end up going on to causing a 3-and-out for the Panthers. The Rams, after the Panthers punt, the Rams end up having a pretty good drive of I I want to say we had like 5 or 6 plays. We got down to, what was it, Zach? Like the 15-yard line or 20-yard line, and then Stafford throws a pick six to a pretty. I will say the linebacker made a good play, but our play calling up to that point in the game was a little repetitive, especially with the screens. Um, Now it was kind of needed. The Panthers pass rush the past 3 games has been really solid in producing pressures. And with this O line, McVay was being decently good with trying to stretch out the defense horizontally. And he was doing a lot of screens. And when you do that, you risk, if a linebacker can read it well, just picking you completely off. And they did. Got 6 points off of it. It was kind of painful to be losing at half 10-7 to a team that was terrible, partially because our offense couldn't do more than 10 or 7 points at that point.
Yeah, I mean, the offense, I mean, other than, that touchdown pass, I mean, the offense it just looked like we were repeating ourselves in that first half, that we were just going down the same road we have been over weeks and weeks and weeks, where our defense is playing pretty much lights out and gets themselves off the field, and then the offense comes back, and then they just couldn't do a whole lot with it. Yeah, so that's just where I'm at. Like it's really nice, but it took us until partway through the second quarter before we got that touchdown. So I don't know. It's just we can talk about the second half, but the first half just really felt like we were still stuck um, in the same weeks of the offense just not doing anything productive.
Yeah,
The penalties didn't help. We had some penalties called on us that really didn't help anyone's cause in the offense. But still, you got to be able to get the passes.
yeah. So the offense in the first half was a 5-play, 5-yard punt, then 3 plays, 9 yards punt. We had that nice 13-play, 73-yard touchdown drive, interception, touchdown the next drive, and then punt. So 3 punts, pick six, and 1 touchdown. That is not good. That is not great play, especially considering the offense only really gave up, I think, like a total of 90 yards in the first half to the Panthers. Most of that coming on their first drive. The second half starts. Rams go 3-and-out. The Panthers then go 3-and-out. We end up going 12 plays, 87 yards. That's the drive that we should have scored touchdown, or at least gotten another set of downs whenever they had a face mask on Allen Robinson.
Yeah, and that
So
was that was a terrible face mask. And I think someone on Twitter commented and was like, oh, that was a makeup for roughing the passer. The one thing that I want to point out is that if we're calling these makeup because the ref screwed up, that's giving way too much power to these refs. They need to call.
not to mention they also ignored a worse hit on Stafford later in the game as your makeup. So like
True. We're giving the refs too much credit. You call the calls that you see. If you screw up, you take it. But if there is something blatant like that, that needs to be called. And it drives me nuts. Yes, you can always pick up the flag if there's a discussion and there was nothing. But and roughing the passer has been very tick tacky right now. I completely agree. Did I think the first one was a pass? But no, but don't waste a blatant face call, because if that's what the refs are thinking, I don't know. But I just wanted to say that because based on some of the interaction I had on Twitter, I'm like, no, I don't care. you call that no matter what. I don't make the refs have more power than they should. This is a game about the players. They're just there to make sure that the rules are being followed. If they screw up something 2 plays before that, that's not the player's fault. That's their fault. They don't the team should not get criticized for something that the refs did. The refs aren't playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my little rant for today.
Yeah. So we get a field goal off of that. Panthers come back out, 3-and-out again. Rams have a 5-play, 80-yard touchdown drive. That was the Skoranek kind of run. Really good play by him. And we talked about it in the second half of last season. When people were attacking Skoranek, we were always saying on this podcast, he is not a bad player. He constantly got open. He just had issues catching. It wasn't necessarily a Tutu issue, or you know what I mean, like some of the other lower end wide receivers on the depth chart. You could see the talent. He just hadn't put it all together, especially as a 6th-round or 7th-round rookie. Uh, I think he's putting it together. He looks like a legitimate weapon now, especially being able to catch these balls, make plays, getting his first touchdown, and I don't think that's going to be his last of the season.
I agree. I mean, Skronik is I probably was a little bullish on him to begin with, but he's such a versatile player, just like Cup is. I mean, not in the same way Cup is, obviously, because he's probably the greatest receiver out there, but it's the versatility that he has where he's going to put himself out there to block. He's a great blocker. And he can get open when Cup's being double coverage. Usually Skronek's out there, taking that role of wide receiver 3. So, he's the only person on that team right now. I don't think Tutu is that block pass, help that they need. And Skronek is able to be the fullback position. He's able to be the wide receiver position. He's a good blocker. Obviously, he got this rushing touchdown. So, very happy that
He's filling in for Woods. Honestly, he's taken over that kind of role.
yeah, and that's what they needed. That's what A-Rob should have been. And now that obviously they're making some changes, and hopefully we're finally getting to a better spot with our wide receiver trio.
Well, I think getting Van Jefferson is going to help. It should help out Allen Robinson a lot. He's going to see way more single coverage than even he has been now, because we haven't had that third threat. It would be nice when we get Van Jefferson that Skoranek keeps on producing, and then we kind of have a 1-2 punch with those two as options. So we get a touchdown from Skoranek. Panthers come, another 3-and-out. Rams have a very nice 10-play, 61-yard touchdown drive, ended with a Henderson just run up the gut. A really solid play by Henderson the whole game. Panthers punt after 4 plays. The Rams go 3-and-out. Then basically near garbage time, the Panthers have a decently successful drive, ending in an interception after PJ Walker got hurt, I believe. And then the Rams just kneeled it. So, Zach, what's your initial reaction to this game as general, given that we're going into the bye, our offensive line has been beat to hell, we lost Joe Noteboom in this game. It's just, man, it's been a little bit of a mess. 3-3 is a mess. I believe, didn't you expect us to be 4-2 at the bye? I think we both had ourselves at 4-2. So I think the 49ers game was totally winnable, and we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. So it's one of those things where we're not too far off, but it's not ideal.
I mean, I truly believe that every one of these games could have been winnable. Our defense, other than maybe the Buffalo game, our defense has played extremely well. This Carolina team is not a great team, as you mentioned. McCaffrey is probably the only player left really on that team that's, there's a couple people I think on defense that are probably worth some money, but
Brian Burns. Yeah.
Burns, yeah. So, they have a couple players, but realistically that the whole team is it's
They're a
just not,
rebuilding team.
yeah. And so this offense needed this win. They needed this win going into this bye, just like they needed the win last year in Jacksonville, when they were in the terrible November no win situation. They need to get everybody healthy, or get as many people as possible healthy, which I know we'll talk about. But I think this is a confidence boost. It's a confidence boost to the offense. It's a confidence boom to the defense that their offense can help them win a game. It's a confidence boost to this O line that's been through hell and back. And so I think, like I said, I think this was just a game that was a must win, not just because it would have dropped us to 2-4 if we didn't. And it's really hard to climb your way out of that. But I think it was just a overall confidence boost to this team that desperately needed to find some success. And, I think that's what that was brought to this.
Did Larry Jackson start this game at guard? I think he did, right? And then he moved the
Um,
left tackle after.
no, he did not. I do not have him listed as a starter.
Yeah, but he
Oh, wait.
played all the snaps.
Alaric Jackson, yes, right guard was a starter. Yes, you're right. I was looking at my wrong notes.
Yeah. I was like, because he is a tackle, and I think he moved in the left tackle spot whenever.
No boom.
Whenever. Yeah,
Which
no boom went down.
which from what I was doing a little bit of research, that Alaric Jackson was initially left tackle, or was a tackle position, so it was more of a comfortable fit for him.
Yeah, he looked great. Honestly, he looked as good, if not better, than Nopum.
Yeah, so I'm still obviously bullish of the O line, but they did enough in the second half, especially, to help give Stafford some time to get the balls out, and they weren't always just have to quick throw, quick throw, quick throw. They did do a lot of clever things. McVay did a really good job of putting in some sneaky plays, which I feel like that's what we've also been missing, is some of the more creative plays. We're kind of been more of the short screens and just trying to do these things over and over again. And really, McVay's really good at creating these creative design plays where he has more options, and we can do a little bit of trickery and hide things here and there.
Yeah, for the snap count, notable ones being Robinson is up to 86%. Higbee was it. I feel like Higbee was kind of hurt in this game. He only got 80% of snaps. Henderson was in for 70%. Skoranek for 70%. Brandon Powell, BP looked really close to breaking something. Like, didn't you have that feeling that if he just got a few more touches, he was going to break something really big?
I mean, he was so close to at least two different times scoring.
Yeah.
Two different times, and when he had to step out because I think he fell on top of the ball and it just kind of knocked the wind out of him. But just two times he was so close of just breaking loose, and I feel like he has something coming. And again, we can talk about this more in a different segment, but I think the problem we're going to have is we're going to have too many receivers here in a couple weeks, and someone's going to be the odd man out. I mean, I don't really see us doing it where we have Cooper Kupp, we have Allen Robinson, we'll have Van Jefferson back, we have Skoranek, and then you also throw in Tutu and Powell. Like, something is going to somebody's going to be left out, and
Well, I
I'm not. And we
mean,
can talk. Yeah, I don't know who's going to be the lone man. I mean, obviously I think Tutu probably will be, but I don't know.
yeah, we can talk about that more specifically. Talking about offense, let's just kind of go into the offensive highlights. So the offense kind of worked, at least in the second half. A-Rob got another touchdown. Good to see. Skoranek got his first touchdown of his career. Really good for him. He's gone very close. Dropped the one in the 49ers game last year that should have put them away. Sad face. But, he got one this game. He's looking a lot better, and Henderson got another touchdown. Henderson definitely looked like the better back. We will go into why Akers wasn't later in the pod. Awkward pause. And then the O-line losing another lineman, having another lineup. Sucks. Continuity makes it very hard to play the offensive line, as our great pal always says, our awesome guest host Ramzilla, who used to be O-line. Like, communication is a big part of playing the position. You got to be able to communicate, and changing guys constantly makes that harder. Uh, so our O-line going into after the bye will be Alert Jackson at left tackle, Bobby Evans at left guard, uh, Brian Allen center. We're getting him back. Abushi at right guard, and then Havenstein at left tackle. Zach, how are you feeling about that line?
It's just a whole nother set. So we're just, you know, continuity is key, and I'm really glad that we're bringing Brian Allen back. I think he's a great center. Obviously I think Clooney has done an admirable job at that spot, all things considered. Um, but
Do you think Ibushi or Coloni is gonna get the good? Because for some reason they just feel insistent on putting us through Bobby Evans more. Like, I would prefer if at left guard it was whoever prefers uh, Ibushi or Cologne. Like, I think both are like average, or sorry, slightly below average. Where I think Bobby Evans is just last. He should be last resort,
I think
honestly.
I think with Brian Allen coming back, um, and we still don't have Coleman Shelton. I think that Coloni is still going to be. I think he's not going to play unless something happens to Brian
Yeah.
Allen. That's just. I think that's just the way it's going to go. Even though like I said, I think he's done an admirable job in that spot. I haven't really seen too many problems with him specifically. Um, so yeah, so it's this O line that I'm just super bullish about. We don't have a healthy. We're on to our seventh week of different starting offensive linemen. So I'm hopeful that just having Brian Allen back can bring a little bit more comfort to Stafford, and maybe he can, you know, he feels more comfortable with him under center. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, the big thing is, if we have our center and both edges fine, then it's just about making sure the guard spots, one of them has to be fine. Like, I think we can deal with one position on the O line being terrible. We can't deal with two. That's when stuff really starts to break down. Especially because the center can't cover everywhere. Uh, let's kind of move on. Talk about Ronnie Rivers making his 3 snap debut. I thought he looked great, Zach. The one carry they gave him. For the life of me, I don't know why they gave, no offense, your boy Malcolm Brown more snaps than Rivers. He looked good. The one snap he got. Why they didn't give it back to him right after he had that monster run, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm a big Malcolm Brown fan, but I think obviously I think the reason why was because he was the more veteran of them two, and so I think they were just hopeful that maybe Malcolm could kind of break through. But when that obviously was not working, why not try to give it to Ronnie Rivers and try to get him through? And which I think also brings confusion to a defense when you're throwing out your at this point, I mean, even if you have Akers technically still on the roster, I mean, this is now your fourth string running back. And so, I don't think they were really probably expecting it, but he did break through for his 14-yard gain. So, very
I
pleased
just
by.
I just typically think this is if I was a coach, I would always tell someone, if you get 10 plus yards, I'm giving you a rock again, and I will keep on giving you it if you keep on getting those 10-yard chunks, because that means you're going to win the game if you do that. Now that won't always consistently happen, but yeah, it was a good run. We'll see more. Maybe it's just a flash in the pan, or maybe he's a diamond in the rough. Undrafted gets a chance to really perform. Kind of depends what we do at the trade deadline, which we will talk about in a few minutes. Let's kind of move on to the defense. Like you said, Zach, really can't complain about defense. They held the Panthers 3 points. The offense gave up more points than defense. Pretty simple to say. They were balling out. Jalen Ramsey was running everywhere. Uh, we really didn't get a lot of sacks or turnovers, but we did solid in 3 and outs and forcing punts. And that's all you can ask for it. Again, like me and you said, you shouldn't be demanding this defense gets points. Really,
Yeah,
that's unfair to ask.
some just more interesting notes. One thing that I noticed, Ashawn Robinson, he had 5 tackles in the first quarter against the Panthers, um, which apparently makes that he has the most tackles that he's ever had in the first quarter in the game. Only finished with 6, so he really starred in the first quarter. But I think a really solid play. But what do you think about? I was seeing it today, and I didn't really notice it until I was like actually going back and reviewing that. Greg Gaines didn't really play all that much this game. Any thoughts on that?
It's probably just a snap count. He probably has a minor injury that they don't feel like can ask questions. That's typically what they do with players like that. If he's not playing and they're not announcing injury, it's probably just a minor one that they
Yeah.
want to nurse. And against a team like the Panthers, I can see why they really didn't feel pressed to put him out there. If it
Well,
was the
especially
Bills, then
yeah. I
maybe.
mean, especially since your defense has already been playing lights out. Uh, so cool.
Yeah. Ramsey gets a second sack and Nick Scott gets a pick. Again, Nick Scott looks solid. I don't think our safety plays anything to write home about it. I think that's a weaker part of the defense. They were fine this game. They didn't get blown up at all. A pretty solid outing. They didn't really try to throw it either. So kind of made it easy on the defense.
Hmm.
Any other thoughts? Not much to say. They were good.
They were great. Ramsey got his second sack of his career back to back weeks. So I'm really liking what I see that we're doing on the defense of if if of getting him more mixed in. I know you've not been a fan of him being in the star position and moving him around when he probably should more or less follow the key player, but just seeing that his versatility and that he can make those. I mean, not only did he have that sack, but man, did he destroy uh, Christian McCaffrey on that
Yeah,
one play.
don't get me wrong. I just think it it has to be a certain game that calls for it. I think against a team like this, yeah, it's perfectly fine because they're not throwing past 20 yards and they
Hmm.
don't really have a all-star wide receiver. They don't have a deep wide receiver core. You don't have to worry about mid to long range shots. Yeah, put them in the star for this type of game. My issue is against someone like the Bills when you have literally Josh Allen just able to throw deep bombs constantly and wide receivers burning our rookie cornerbacks. Like, I think that's silly to have him rushing Josh Allen. That's I I just don't like it personally. But it worked out in this game. And good on Ramsey for getting that sack and sacking or getting a second one. So, Zach, normally we would predict or kind of break down the next week. We will be pushing that the next week since it's our bye week, and we'll talk about the state of the team right now and kind of like give our feelings going into the bye week, how the team is. We've kind of already done that a little bit. But Joe Noteboom is out for the rest of the season. Again, a lot of turmoil in that offensive line. Hopefully, it can start to stabilize, and I think that will help out a lot. McVay does announce that Brian Allen, Van Jefferson, Troy Hill, Kobe Durant, and Bobby Brown are coming back. I think that has the potential, Zach, of making our defense very lethal. Because not only will we have the same players right now balling out, we're going to have a lot more ability to cycle in players. Um, I do hope they keep on giving the rookies some chances, especially DK. I think he's done really solid. And hopefully Bobby Brown can get in the rotation. I think pass rush needs a little bit help and a little bit more oomph to it. That's a weaker part of our team right now. But Zach, any kind of reactions to these big players coming back?
I mean, other than what we've kind of been talking about, I mean, getting Brian Allen back again, that brings more continuity back to the offensive line. Obviously, the center is super important, especially to the quarterback on communication and communicating from the quarterback to the O line and vice versa. And then and I don't want to talk about the offense because I think you've mentioned the defense and the defense is solid and getting these guys back will only make them better. But bringing back Van Jefferson, I think he's going to be our distance threat. I think Matthew Stafford has really missed being able to sling the ball 20 plus yards. And I think Van Jefferson will finally bring us back to having a deep threat. And so the defense of these opposing players are going to have to take that in consideration and not always cover the short play and cover Cooper Cup and
Do you Do you think that's because he doesn't trust Tutu fully? Like, on knowing, like, because he's reading the coverage and he looks, and, like, do you think for Tutu, he more has to see him clearly wide open versus, like, Jefferson, where he can trust that Jefferson will get that cut and be open and be able to kind of predetermine the throw deep pass
it's
wise?
it's possible. I would have to um go back and look at their statistics. I think Van Jefferson is just a bigger, longer dude,
Better
uh,
frame.
better frame than Tutu. Not saying Tutu isn't a great player; he's a really fast runner and things like that. But if you are a little bit taller, have a little bit more longer arm span, you're able to get out in front of the ball, even if your legs haven't really caught up to you yet. So I I really like Van Jefferson and I like his play and like I said I think he could be the deeper threat. And let's just remember, he had this continuity with Stafford. I mean, even though yes, last year was the Cooper Cup, Matthew Stafford show, he still had that continuity. He went through all of last year's training camp and um, all of the prerequisites before the season plus the entire season. With Tutu, I don't think he's had as many reps. I mean, especially when they were conditioning Stafford's, his elbow issue. Like he didn't throw to the wide receivers, which I think is also some of the problem we have with A Rob is he doesn't have that continuity and that connection because he didn't have as many reps in. And so I think we're finally starting to see that come to fruition. Um, now. So I think, like I said, bringing Van Jefferson back will just be another comfortable blanket for Stafford.
Hmm. Well, talking about comfortable blankets, let's make it a little bit uncomfortable with talking about what's going on with Cam Akers. Zach, can you tell me what's happening? Because we wanted to do kind of like we were going to do a podcast on it, but it was really confusing. They were sending out mixed messages. Uh, what's going on with him?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic because so he was called that he wasn't at practice for a couple of days last week. McVay said it was because of personal reasons. That was what it was noted on the injury report, that he was out for personal reasons. And then McVay has this conference saying that he's going to be out, and that they are looking into this situation. And at this point, I mean, we're all thinking like he's done in LA. He's not going to be playing anymore, and that's probably what's going to happen. And people are trying to point the fingers. Is it Akers wanting the trade? Is it the Rams wanting the trade? And maybe it's Akers wanting the trade, but like to me, it's felt like this Rams organization has tried its best to give Akers the opportunity to be who he was prior to his injury last year. And it's just not working. He's had a couple explosive plays, but really his yards average haven't been better, or if they have, not much better than Henderson's. And Henderson has been a much better, and I hate saying team player, but more versatile in the pass protection,
More well
um,
rounded.
more well-rounded than
Yeah.
Akers. And it just seemed like every time Akers had the ball, other than the few times, he always went backwards and never went forwards. And at least with Henderson, whether you knew he wasn't going to get, like, he was at least going to get a yard. Whether that's good enough or not, that's not the debate. But the debate is, it always seemed like Henderson had the edge just based on the like being more well-rounded than Akers.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Arizona game last year, he just hasn't shown much. Uh, and that's the reality of it. And, I don't know, you don't know what to trust with these reports, whether he was unhappy with the snap share or not. Ultimately, it's looking like the Rams are going to try to trade him. They did come out and say that, you know, if something doesn't come up, then they're more than willing to try to work it out with him. Basically saying, like, you can't offer us, like, we're not going to cut him. You can't just offer a 7-round pick and expect us to give you Akers, a 2nd-round pick from a year ago, for free, right? Like, they're raising the value right there and saying, we'll just keep him if you guys aren't going to give us something that's a real offer. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what we get for him, and I'll kind of pivot that into our next topic of conversation, where we could use them as a chip to trade for other player, for other positions or the same position. Zach, who are you kind of looking at on the trade block as someone that you think the Rams could use? A push and like a helpful uh emergence out of the bye. Who do you think could give the offense that spark? I would assume we both agree the offense probably needs a trade more than defense right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I don't really see the defense really needing anything special. Yeah, it's definitely the offense. And people have been talking about McCaffrey, and I don't think that's plausible, and I don't think that's in the Rams' future at all. He's worth way too much. And the Rams just, they don't have anything. They don't have a first round pick for 2023. Um, and I don't think they really have the capital to take on the contract without giving up multiple round picks. So,
I think
um,
McCaffrey said that, or the Panthers said they would eat his money depending on the team.
I think
So
depending on the team, but I think they are being, for that they are going to want one plus picks, first round pick plus another something else.
I
Um,
mean, all these people saying it's unrealistic. I don't. So I will say this. I think we could potentially get him while offering our second Akers and our first next year. Now, whether it's worth those things or not is it can be someone's opinion. But I'm saying I think it's realistic to say we could probably get him, but like, is he worth that?
Yeah, I don't disagree. Um, Other than that, I think we do need to work on the offensive line a bit. The problem, the problem with that is, bringing in someone like last year, bringing in someone like OBJ, bringing in somebody like Von Miller, those positions that they were brought in to do is more or less a solo position. They don't really have to work. They do and they don't have to work with the team. When you bring in an offensive lineman, that offensive line, those those five guys they are that line. And they are pretty much as one to protect the quarterback. And if they're not as one, that's when you see the sacks, that's when you see the forced throws, that's when you see all this. And I still think, you try to bring in an offensive lineman, I think it would be beneficial, especially if it's, a really good one. But I don't know how that's going to work well as far as the chemistry of how important. Uh,
Yeah, but ultimately it's worth it because if you're bringing in a 7 and they're going to play like a 5 for a few weeks, I'll take that over Bobby Evans, which I see as a 1
yeah,
or a 2,
I
right?
don't disagree with that.
Like to me, I think that move is we're so down our depth chart right now. We just need it for the depth too.
For sure.
Losing no boom. So apparently Isaiah Wynn is out there, left tackle for the Patriots. I think that would be great. I understand that Jackson moved to left tackle and he played great, but he also played solid at guard. And if we got Wynn, put him at left tackle and put Jackson at left guard, or if Wynn could play left guard, like he would be instantly an upgrade over Bobby Evans. I think he would be average, if not to above average, on the line. You would go through growing pains, yes, but we need depth. Like we kind of don't have a choice losing no boom for the whole year.
Hmm. Yep.
Some other kind of options out there is Patterson. He is hurt. I think he's hurt for a few weeks. He potentially could be got for a few picks, probably second rounders, I'm guessing. He would add a spice to the offense. I think adding a good running back could really make this offense dynamic and relieve some of the pressure off of the O line, especially with our kind of zone running scheme and running on the outside zones. I know we want to be a power team and we've tried to dabble in that in the last 2 years, power running. We just don't have the line to do that this year. We could do that last year with the line having Note Boom as a secondary option. It was really good. Can't do that this year. So potentially again, Patterson or McCaffrey could really help out with that. I think, honestly, Zach, I think McCaffrey would be worth it. It. Honestly, I'm not expecting much in the next 2 or 3 years of the draft because we're going to be complete trash anyways after the collapse. Uh, Hopefully not, but you got to rebuild sometime. And McCaffrey would help us win now. And he is so dynamic. You saw what he did on that trash Carolina team. He was
Hmm.
literally the offense. And if you can put pressure off a Cup and give McCaffrey the ball, and Cup will give pressure off of McCaffrey. Imagine a backfield where you have Cup on one side of Stafford, McCaffrey on the other side of Stafford, and they're both running out of the backfield. How do you cover that?
Yeah, I
You,
mean, it'd be great. I mean, like I said, I would love it. Whether it's feasible, I'm unclear if that's actually. I don't know if
yeah,
it's actually feasible.
I know people are yelling that he's made of glass. I get that. But honestly, I don't care. Our entire offense right now is made of glass. Might as well add someone else who is also. So, it's like you when you're 3-3 and we could have been 2-4, honestly, this team it needs something to spark the offense to be better than it has been. So there's also Roquan Smith is on the trade block, Robert Quinn and then Roquan Smith are both on trade block. I don't think I would like outside linebacker, and I thought that was going to be a big hole coming into the season. But honestly, we have bigger issues, personally.
Most
And then
definitely.
Dearness Johnson, Browns. That's someone I could see the Rams possibly trading Akers straight up for Dearness Johnson. I think he's better than Malcolm Brown.
So I just saw on Twitter someone was posting about Melvin Gordon.
I don't want Melvin Gordon and his Butterfingers anywhere near this offense. We already have enough fumble problems. I don't need another running back that is fumble prone.
Yeah.
He had 3 fumbles in one game. No. Just no. Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, with that craziness, I think we should probably try to wrap things up. How you feel about that?
Yeah. No more Butterfingers. Hopefully we can improve on that.
So we're entering the bye week. So next week we will be doing mostly probably a preview of the San Francisco 49ers game, which is scheduled for week 8 on October 30th. So we'll be previewing that. We'll be breaking down any news that comes between then or now and then. Hopefully we'll get some more insight on what's happening with Blockbuster.
Trades. Yeah.
We'll see what trades happen, what players we may gain, what players we may lose. But yeah, this has been an awesome episode. Really appreciate everyone who's been supporting the podcast. Our numbers that we were looking at just before this pod are crazy good. So we're just thankful for everyone who's just taking the time to listen, and share this podcast with others. We'll keep saying this. We're a podcast of the fans for the fans. So we won't be talking about anybody else but the Rams. So if you want to give us feedback, you can always send them to feedback@eastcoastrams.com. You can DM us or comment on any of our Twitter posts. You can also, which is at East Coast Rams. Our personal Twitter accounts, mine is @Zac Mayer and Ashton's is @RamsFanAshton1. And yeah, Rams victory today. We're recording on Victory Monday, so let's go celebrate and get to the bye week, get healthy, get rejuvenated, not just for the Rams team, for ourselves as well. And yeah, let's enjoy this week. All right.
No more depression. Yay.
All right, guys. All right, Ramley. Horns up. Whose house? Rams house.